Dolphins went up to Chicago last weekend, produced a big 27-14 victory, possibly a season-saving win against the Bears, considering a loss would have meant Miami had lost 4 of their last 5 games. Now the season sits at 3-3, heading into this Sunday's road game against the Jaguars, who got their first victory of the season last week against the Cleveland Browns.
You know, back in the day, Jimmy Johnson and Dave Wanstead, they would have put mouse traps in the lockers, they would have put lobster traps up on the ceilings of the locker room. This is a trap game, and it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins respond.
This is a newspaper guy reading a teleprompter, ladies and gentlemen. This is X's and Omar. We'll discuss some of those big matchup issues and talk about the progress of this 500 team. I'm CBS 12's Matt Lincoln. He's Sun Sentinel Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly, who's very graciously takes some time away from listening to the latest T.I. album to join us for X's and Omar.
It was bad, people. It was bad.
You are curious Dolphins fans, interested to see if Joe Philbin's team can produce this year's first winning record since the season opening victory over the Patriots. As usual, we'll take those questions on Twitter. All you have to do is ask them using the hashtag XOmar or send us a video question. All you need to do is click on that link right above us on the live stream to send us your video question. We also have our referee here to throw the challenge flag. There he is right there. You need some work, Jamel, to get to Ed Hockley level, I think. You may hit the gym. If you disagree with Omar on a topic discussed in this show or past shows, issue a challenge on Twitter and we'll find it, of course, using the XOmar hashtag.
There are always going to be disagreements
on
quarterbacks. It's always about the quarterbacks.
That's what it is. And not just quarterbacks, specifically Ryan Tannehill. We both predicted the Dolphins would lose last week, and continuing our horrible predictions.
Shameful predictions.
What were we most wrong about?
You know what? I didn't expect that the secondary would be able to confuse and make Jay Cutler combust. I really think that was the key to the performance. The defense produced 3 turnovers. They suffocated the run. They got Jay Cutler uncomfortable, gave him dummy looks, then ran a different defense. I knew that this defense was going to be good. Right. I didn't think they were going to be that good. And I personally believe that Jay Cutler's an upper echelon quarterback, a top 15 quarterback. Yeah. They didn't make him play like one.
No, they didn't. And really, Cutler never went down the field, really, at all, looking for those big receivers.
He went down the field. He just wasn't very effective doing it, and I think that was a very good game by the Smurf cornerbacks of Cortland Finnegan and Brent Grimes, who responded to last week's poor performance against Green Bay.
And, you know, one of the great things about the defense is they did really well getting that offense off the field, but then the Dolphins offense kept the ball for a long time. Not a lot of opportunities for that Bears offense to get out there and do it.
I think that's the running game. I think that's Ryan Tannehill completing 14 straight passes. It's efficiency. Now, they weren't very successful in the red zone when the defense gave them a lot of opportunities in the red zone based off those 3 turnovers, but those things will come. What I liked was the fact that they're consistently running the ball, as they have all season. They're 4th best in rushing in the NFL. That's with or without Sean Marino. And Ryan Tannehill is showing you that he is allowed, he can actually run. He can actually move out the pocket, consistently move the chains. And when you complete 14 straight passes and you're efficient at quarterback, it helps you stay on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Tannehill's making gigantic plays with his feet here over the past couple weeks.
I wouldn't say gigantic. He's not running like Colin Kaepernick.
He had a 40-yard run.
That was like a week ago. And he had a major 4th and 1 conversion.
Yeah.
I mean,
these are major plays that he's making with his feet.
He is an athletic quarterback. I always said, going back to the beginning of X's and Omar, when Ryan Tannehill is running, he's at his best. Going back to his Texas A&M days, when he moves out the pocket, when he rolls out, when he does play action, that's when he's at his best. When he uses his leg to extend plays, finding a Mike Wallace on a broken play, that's when he's at his best. Unfortunately, they've actually just figured it out 38 games into his NFL career.
And we've seen a lot of the read option. Is this the way the Dolphins offense should be going forward, using more of this read option?
They use it substantially already. I mean, it's the base, it's 30% of the offense in terms of the bread and butter. Ryan Tannehill is the conductor. He's the guy who decides whether or not he runs with it, whether or not he hands it off to Lamar Miller, whether he gives it to the end around. I mean, there's a lot of things, whether he throws a quick hitch. There's a lot of things designed into the offense. That is the staple play, and it's really Ryan Tannehill's game to decide what he does with it, and he decides that based on what the defense is doing.
So what are some of the risks, though, of playing a lot of read option?
You know what? It leads to a lot of injuries. I mean, when you play the read option, you're you're exposing your quarterback to a lot of hits. We're talking Russell Wilson does it, RG3 does it, Colin Kaepernick does it. Those are athletic quarterbacks, and Ryan Tannehill is athletic. Don't let the light skin fool you. He's an athletic guy. He was a former wide receiver in college at Texas A&M, but he's thin-framed, and he's more of a straight line. He's not going to make you miss. So he can get you those plays with his legs. The question is, do you want him running the ball 10 times a game? And I say that's a bad idea. 5 to 6 is probably about the level that you want to have him running.
When you need those big plays.
Yeah.
The Dolphins got 3 turnovers against the Bears. Defense kept Jay Cutler uncomfortable, guessing the whole game. Omar, you had doubts about whether this secondary could produce some interceptions. Are you second-guessing those doubts now?
You know what? I thought Rashad Jones played his best game of probably the past 2 seasons. 7 tackles, an interception, 2 pass breakups. They moved him back to the strong safety spot where previously when he came back from his suspension, they had Louis Delmas playing closer to the box at the line of scrimmage. Right now, Kevin Coyle's always talked about having interchangeable safeties. 2 guys who can play the same role just on different snaps. One's up, one's down. And right now you're seeing that from Louis Delmas and Rashad Jones. Both of them can play in the box. I'm not really comfortable with Rashad Jones as a free safety, as the last line of defense. Both of them have instincts. Probably Rashad Jones has more instincts than Louis Delmas. It'll be interesting to see if they can continue to develop that and continue to have them move up back and forth. It really confuses a quarterback when you don't know who's the free safety and who's the strong safety.
Lots of deception there. It leads to our first question from Rodney Ruxin at Shiva Bowl Champ. What's your take on that flipping of Rashad Jones and Louis Delmas? Do you think it was just for this Bears game, or do you think going forward we're going to see a lot of that?
You know what, Kevin Coyle, I will say this. Back in when he got here, before he got here, I was a big fan of what he did at Cincinnati. I thought he's an amazing teacher of secondaries in terms of cornerbacks and safeties. Every safety that's played under him has really thrived. Reggie Nelson, Chris Clement, and the key to his game is the deception element. Now, he didn't have 2 safeties that could play that versatile role, but now he finally does. And I really think it's a good thing moving forward. Hopefully you can continue to see the safeties blossom, because I really think that this defense has the potential to be elite. I'm talking top 8 in the NFL. The only thing that's holding it back, strong safety play, inside linebacker play, and I would say strong side linebacker play. Those are 3 positions that they have to get better at in order for them to be a top 8 unit in the NFL.
All right, next question comes from @Chris Buston. He wonders, is there any chance that a 9-7 record would not get the Dolphins into the playoffs in a bunched-up AFC?
Certainly there is a chance, but I really think that the focus should be right now on winning games, getting above 500 for the first time since 2008. Worry about the playoffs later. I mean, we all don't know how the AFC South is going to stack up, how the AFC North is going to stack up right now.
Well, the biggest question is the AFC West. I mean, like last year, they had 3 teams in the AFC and in the playoffs, and you've got the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Broncos all playing well, and the Chiefs already have a victory over them.
Right. In my mind, the Dolphins are really playing for a wild card spot. Right. I just have a hard time seeing the Patriots, even though they've got some injury concerns, and they're really suffered 2 key, if not 3 key losses on their defense. But this isn't a show about the Patriots. Let's worry about the Patriots when we play them. You know what? The Dolphins really have to get a 4-2 record, in my mind, in the AFC East. Somehow you've got to be able to beat Buffalo, sweep the Jets, and then maybe, if you're lucky, win another division game against the Patriots on the road. And then you've got to really win that San Diego game.
Right,
I mean, because you need those head-to-head matchups. Certainly, let's not overlook the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though, they did just win their 1 game in the NFL.
We'll get to
but that San Diego game, to me, is the turning point to the entire season.
I agree. It's going to be huge. We occasionally like to switch it up on X's and Omar, and one of our favorite segments is the game of true or false.
My favorite segment, absolutely.
Well, you only have 2 answers to choose from, so it's easy. Everyone knows how to play. You ask it, we answer it, providing some insight with it into our thinking. Our first true or false question comes from Erod at FinFan2003. By the end of the season, the OL will be the strongest unit on this team. True or false?
False. While they are good, and I think they have the potential to get better with Mike Pouncey there as the right guard. Samson Satelli's playing pretty well. Hopefully he can stay healthy for the entire season. Even though Mike Pouncey gave up 2 sacks, which is a career high for him against Jay Ratliff last week, I think he's going to continue to blossom and get better as the right guard. But the defensive line
is the best defensive line in the NFL.
No, it's not.
Close.
Buffalo is the best defensive line in the NFL. They're close, especially with Derek Shelby there. Yeah. Derek Shelby's giving you 3 sacks in 5 games on limited snaps. You got Cameron Wake, who is considered arguably the best 4-3 defensive end in the NFL. Then you got Audric. Then you got Randy Starks. Then you got Earl Mitchell. And now Dion Jordan comes back. So certainly that is the best unit on the Dolphins team.
I'm going to tweak that question.
Okay.
True or false? The offensive line is the best unit on offense of the team right now.
I would still say false,
okay,
because I like the receiver unit.
Yeah.
I really, when you've got Brandon Gibson, who's struggling to get on the field, struggling to be active. I even like Damian Williams. I mean, he comes in and he gives you big play potential. That is one of the deepest unit on the team. I think they can give you everything. Unfortunately, you don't have a quarterback that can hit that big play.
Right.
But they can give you everything that you need in that receiver unit.
All right, our next true or false question comes from Jake at FinsFanatic13. He wants to know if Dion Jordan is going to come back to play linebacker. He's going to play linebacker. True or false?
True. Yes. He will eventually play linebacker in his NFL career. Whether it's for Joe Philbin or somebody else, somebody's going to realize this guy's better as a linebacker. And he does play. They have a lot of different schemes, as you know, on defense. They've got the 4-3, their base look. They've got the speed package, which is their every pass rusher on the field, everybody standing up, walking around. Then they've got what they unleashed last week, which is their 3-4 look, which has Derek Shelby on the defensive line. And I think that Dion Jordan is going to be an outside linebacker in that 3-4 look. Kevin Cole has multiple looks on his unit, and I think that that's going to be where you see Dion Jordan coming back from the suspension. I have a hard time believing he's going to regain his speed package role, considering how well Chris McCain is playing in it. But I do think that there's going to be a role for Dion Jordan, and he's probably going to get 10 snaps a game.
Is he going to play this weekend?
I would say yes, because I think you need him on special teams, but they have until Monday to activate him, so he doesn't necessarily have to play.
Okay. At Nick Monroe 9 has a good one. True or false? Offensive coordinator Bill Lazor is helping Ryan Tannehill as much as he helped Nick Foles last season.
False. From this standpoint, if you look at Nick Foles' numbers last year,
they were incredible.
He was the top-rated passer in the NFL. I believe he only had 2 interceptions. While Ryan Tannehill's interceptions are down, he's got 5, which is pretty darn good, especially for Ryan Tannehill. Nick Foles was the top-rated passer in the NFL last year. His accuracy was phenomenal. Ryan Tannehill's accuracy hasn't gotten there yet. Now, obviously, it took the offense a little bit of time to adjust to Nick Foles. And as you're seeing right now, Ryan Tannehill is getting better. The offense is adjusting to him. The question is, what is the upside? Can he blossom? Nick Foles is the #1 rated passer in the NFL. Now, he wasn't the best quarterback in the NFL, but he was the #1 rated, the most efficient guy. Can Ryan Tannehill get into the top 15? Right now, he's the 25th best.
Right.
He's got to get into the top 15 to even be in a conversation.
So what does that tell us right now? Does it tell us more about Bill Lazor? Does it tell us more about Ryan Tannehill? Or does it tell us more about Nick Foles?
I think it tells us more about Bill Lazor. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I really love this offense. It's probably I have said this earlier this week on Twitter. He's probably the second best offensive coordinator, offensive mind that I've covered. Second only to Mark Richt, who's now coach at Georgia. I covered him at Florida State. In terms of this offense, there's so many different creative outlets for it. In terms of playing players to their strengths, I think they're just getting to that level. Now that they've got Charles Clay playing a little bit better, playing without his brace, being healthy, I think you're starting to see the tight ends evolve. Right. Deion Sims, the development that you've seen from him. I really think that this offense is going to start to take off, especially Bill Lazor. The pace of it has to improve. And in order for the pace of it to improve, they got to be more efficient on third downs. And I would say that that's the only weakness of this offense right now. They're not very efficient on third downs.
That was my 2 biggest takeaways. I didn't go to Chicago. I was watching the game at home. 2 biggest takeaways from the game watching it on TV. 1 was how great the cornerbacks played, D'ing up on those big receivers. And 2, what an incredible game plan drawn up by Bill Lazor, attacking the weak linebacking core of the Bears.
Hey, not fair. Game plan is Joe Philbin.
Okay.
Joe Philbin creates the game plan. Bill Lazor calls the plays. Joe Philbin dictates how you're going to attack an opponent, what you're going to do. That's what Joe Philbin does. It's what been his strength since he's been in Green Bay. And if we're going to give Bill Lazor credit, we need to
give Joe Philbin credit.
We need to give Joe Philbin credit. Joe Philbin, the one thing I know he does is create that damn game plan.
All right. Well, it was the right one. It worked.
Certainly.
It worked for sure.
On defense as well. I think the game plan on defense was even better than the game plan on offense.
All right. Ken Kruk at KKruck23 has a follow-up on Bill Lazor. True or false, Lazor will be another team's head coach in less than 3 years?
I would say true. I think he's got head coach written all over him. I think he's head coach material. I think he carries himself in a manner that sort of just says head coach.
Yeah.
If the Hurricanes got rid of Al Golden, I would definitely say that Bill Lazor is an ideal candidate. He's got college experience at Virginia Tech. Virginia. The only question I have about Bill Lazor is, can he assemble a quality staff? And to me, that's the biggest issue with all head coaches. To me, the one thing about rookie head coaches is they don't know what they don't know, which we saw that with Joe Philbin, that those things become a problem. Can they be leaders of men? I believe that Bill Lazor can be a leader of men. And then also, can he assemble a staff? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if he has the clout. You know, when you think about Tony Sparano, he had to have Bill Parcells backing him, endorsing him, making calls for him to put together a quality staff and get Dan Henning and get Mike Nolan. Can Bill Lazor put together a quality staff?
And great head coaches know they can't be head coaches and offensive coordinators at the same time.
That's not true. Look at Sean Payton. Look at there are a lot of great head coaches who call their own plays.
They can still call their own plays, but they need offensive coordinators too. All right. By the way, we would like to take this moment to introduce our new mugs that we have. Sunset. Look at this. This fantastic work behind the scenes.
You only said that because you're thirsty.
Well, no, I knew that you needed a break. You needed a break.
That's true. I do get thirsty
water.
during the show. Product placement, folks.
Juan Giglio, J. Giglio 21 wants to know, true or false, do you feel the Dolphins might play down to their opponent's level?
Absolutely. In my history of covering this team, they play to their opponent's level, whether it be the Green Bay Packers or the Jacksonville Jaguars. They will play to the level of their opponents. Now, it will be very interesting to see how they approach Sunday's game. Now, if they just stomp out the Jacksonville Jaguars, which they should, from a talent level, it's not even comparable. I was looking at their depth chart and the film of Jacksonville. I mean, there isn't a player on this Jacksonville team. Maybe I'd pick Jonathan Sippering, the strong safety, over the Dolphins safeties. But there isn't a player on Jacksonville's team, Zane Beadles, their left guard, that I would want over Miami's offensive players. Miami's offensive and defensive players.
Paul Posluszny, who's the middle linebacker for the Jaguars, is hurt, not playing.
They just lost Branch to an injury as well. They're playing without their left tackle, Luke Jokel. A South Florida kid, Sam Murphy, has replaced him as a starting left tackle the past 2 games. Jacksonville's injury decimated. They're not very deep. They're not very good. It's the reason they're 1-5.
Right. Well, Dolphins have played one bad team already this year. And
Oakland, yes.
Pounded them.
Yeah, that's true.
Pounded them.
That's
so
true.
They didn't play down.
So you're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so it is no secret that the Jaguars are bad. One of the worst teams in the NFL, just got their first win of the season. They've been bad basically since 2010 when David Garrard left. Since then, the franchise has won 12 games in 4 seasons, and really, if we want to break it down, they've been really bad since Mark Brunell left.
Really bad with quarterback play.
Yeah. Well, they've got a new one, Blake Bortles.
When you're riding Chad Henne as your starting quarterback, you got a problem.
While they wanted to kind of ease Blake Bortles, the first-round pick from University of Central Florida, into the season, well, it only took about 4 games, and now he's the starting quarterback. So what have you seen out of the rookie so far, and can he provide some problems?
Like all rookies, he's easy to force into mistakes. I believe he's got 10 interceptions on the season.
Only on like 170 pass attempts.
Yeah. He's not just him, but Chad Henne. They've given up 29 sacks of an offensive line. Now they've got offensive line issues. They've got a former quarterback in Robinson starting as their running back because of injuries to Toby Gerhardt.
Who was just terrible anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. It is not a very good offense. And they don't really have anything to challenge you with. Right. Now, I do like the fact that they've got some young, talented receivers. Marquise Lee, Cecil Short, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns. They've got young, talented receivers. I would love to invest in all of those guys. However, you got to have somebody who's comfortable enough to get the ball to those receivers, and I don't think that they have it right now.
Okay, so if there is maybe one thing that the Jaguars do sort of well, it is rush the passer. They have 22 sacks so far this season. Is this a reason for the Dolphins to be a little worried?
Yes, from this standpoint, Ryan Tannehill has pocket presence issues. Those are accuracy and pocket presence are his number 1 and 2 issues, and if you have an attacking defense, which the Jaguars do have, you could possibly get him uncomfortable and rattle him a little bit, possibly make him suffer an injury. So I think that is the biggest concern I have. Chris Clemens, their top pass rusher, probably is contain him, and then you got a chance.
The Jaguars have been bad for a few years, lots of high draft picks. It's kind of shocking. They've very little development.
It's all about quarterback play,
yeah.
And they haven't had good enough quarterback play. They've been, they're much like Buffalo in my mind, where they're a team that has talent, but they're paper thin. And when you go out and you sign Toby Gerhart to be your starting tailback and he doesn't pan out, right. You get what you get.
And these are the teams that exist in the NFL that make Tannehill lovers say, well, at least we're not that bad. At least we have someone who's better than what they have.
If you're not a top 15 quarterback, you are wasting your time. Yeah, of course. It's always about the quarterback.
Oh.
Jamal, that's okay.
Well, sorry. So we have a challenge. Earlier, Omar, you said the Dolphins' offense kind of sucks. But unfortunately, someone challenges you on Twitter. It's your Twitter follower. It's Pena. He says, guy, that doesn't mean the offense sucks. It just means we throw short passes 90% of the time. We score, 23 points a game?
That's true. They do have my 23 points a game mandate that you need to give this defense in order to put them in position to win. However, you are leaving a lot of plays on the table when you cannot produce big plays. You have probably, arguably, one of the top 5, no, that's not even arguably, one of the top 5 big play producers in the NFL in Mike Wallace, and you've turned him into a possession receiver. When's the last time you've even seen Mike Wallace run a 9 route? It hasn't happened. They are 29th in net passing yards in terms of, what they're attacking teams, 6.5 yards per pass attempt. That's not very good. The fewest big plays in the NFL, only 3 teams have no 40-yard passes this season. The Dolphins are one of them. Only Oakland has thrown fewer 20-yard passes in this season than Miami, which has thrown 13. Oakland. You're in conversation with Oakland. So for anybody who thinks the Dolphins can produce big plays, it ain't happening.
Hasn't happened. All right.
You're not going to be a good offense until you can actually hit for home runs.
The big ones. And they've got the guys there to do it. It just hasn't happened.
You're a singles and doubles hitter. That's what
Which
you are.
Which works sometimes.
Sometimes, if you play small ball.
Right. Not when you get in those slugfests.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Barry Bonds at the plate, and you're telling him hit for singles.
Right.
And Mike Wallace, it's not going to work for very long.
All right, let's take some rapid-fire questions. We're interactive here on X's and Omar, giving you the opportunity to get your questions asked and answered live right here. I'm going to read them right off my phone, so make sure you send them to us. Let's start with Judah Hammer. Judah Hammer asks, what are your thoughts on Louis Delmas this season? He's not seeing the playmaker he was hoping for.
Yeah, Louis Delmas is averaging about 5 tackles per game throughout the season. That is on pace to what he's done throughout his career. He's contributed 25 tackles, 1 sack, which came last week. I don't know. I mean, he's a stopgap player. He's signed to a 1-year deal. He's just going to hold you over until you can go out and draft another safety. So it's about what I expected. I would love to see him play a 2-man game with Rashad Jones. Now that they're together, second game together, you got to like what you saw last week. So hopefully they can build off that.
So is next year's starting safety on this team?
No.
Okay.
I don't think next year's starting safety, next year's starting cornerback, next year's starting inside linebacker. I probably say next year's starting next year's starting left guard I think is going to be the rookie, the rookie from Billy Turner.
Yep.
I don't think next year's backup quarterback is on this team. They got some work to do. They definitely got some work to do.
Is next year's starting quarterback on this team?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ryan Tannehill. Woo!
U Power Systems asks us, how big was the Sentinel pickup for the Finns? Scale of 1 to 10, his impact.
I think it's probably about a 9. From this standpoint, you're allowing yourself to have Mike Pouncey settle into a new position. Still don't know what his motivation is for wanting to play it, but Mike Pouncey's going to be fine. He's got a 5th-year option next year for $7.4 million, whether he plays center or guard. He's going to be fine. I'm not shedding a tear for Mike Pouncey.
Okay.
So definitely it helps, especially with Shelley Smith being injured. So step in the right direction.
All right. At Ramil is Live asks, do you think we could use an upgrade at the receiver 2 spot over Brian Hartline, or does he do a good enough job?
Oh, Blanky. People are taking shots at Blanky. I like Rashard Matthews. I like Brandon Gibson. I like Jarvis Landry, even though he's now the starting slot receiver. I think they're fine where they are. If you saw that Brian Hartline was running slants, which are a staple of the West Coast offense, running 7-yard slants and wasn't delivering, then you could say, okay, upgrade the position. But Brian runs great routes. That's the one thing you'll never, ever be able to say about him. Would I love for him to be a better 9-route runner, deep ball runner? Sure, but he's produced big plays throughout his career. You just gotta find him.
Next question is from at Aaron Roberts. Does Jelani Jenkins get his first NFL interception this week?
No.
Okay.
Jelani is on pace for, I think, 125 tackles. He is an amazing coverage linebacker in terms of containing running backs, in terms of containing tight ends. That's what he does. I would rather him being trailing in somebody's face than in zone. I hate zone. So I'm not into zone. So the quarterback has to be completely off for him to be in position to get an interception.
All right, here's another question in response to a point that you just made from at Doug Payne. Why is Matt Moore not an option? I'm thinking going forward, why is there not going to be...
I would never say he's not an option.
Okay.
I think you can win with Matt Moore. Last week I said I'm giving Ryan Tannehill 3 more games to produce me 85 quarterback rating games. He's got 1 so far. Before I say you need to move to Matt Moore. Matt Moore, you can win with Matt Moore.
But I think the question is, you said you don't think the backup quarterback of next year is on the team.
Why
is he not going to be around?
Because Matt makes $4 million a year, which is more than Ryan Tannehill. Matt is not cheap. And I think that he can go out and get work, find a starting spot with anybody else in the NFL. So, you know, Matt can do his thing.
All right. At Darren Morris 5 throws us a little bit of a curveball. He wants to know what Dolphin player will be a coach at any level in 10 years.
I would have to throw on there Brian Hartline. I think he's a coach or an executive type.
He dresses like an executive.
He just likes to look pretty.
Yeah, I know. There are more than a few of those Dolphins.
I always, you know what, I got to get back to this. Last year, I used to give, after every game, give the award for the best dressed on the road game. But Joe Philbin's toned it down a little bit, and he's let his team dress in their sweats on the flight back. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you loosening up a little bit. Certainly the players do. But they're always stylish. Cameron Wake is always stylish. So I would say in terms of coaching, Brian Hartline, Jason Trusnick, the very intelligent guys, especially the guys that work hard and fought for everything, the guys that know everything about the offenses. You know, I'll even throw in Pat Devlin. I think he's going to be a coach. He's not on the Dolphins team right now, but I think he's going to be a coach at some point. It's those guys that have very limited talent but stick around for forever, and it's because of their intelligence.
Wow.
Who you got?
This is a little bit of a serious question, but I'm going to ask it. NFL likes, you know, there's an issue with not enough African-American coaches in the NFL.
Okay.
We just asked who are the 3 best players, and you just picked 3 white guys on this team.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair criticism. Let me think about, I think Jared Odrick is a very intelligent player. I think he can be a coach in the NFL. From a defensive standpoint, I'm trying to... I got nothing for you.
All right. Well, and sometimes I think a lot of the guys would actually be good, like, position coaches in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Like, I think Cam Wake would be an incredible defensive line position coach.
Nah.
No, why not?
It's just Cam knows how to do things.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily sure he knows how to teach people how to do things. Okay. It's one of those things where great players don't always make great coaches. And I think Cam is a great player. I would love to see him be more of a leader. I would love to see him help Deion Jordan a little bit more. I'd love to see him serve as more of a mentor. But Cam is about Cam.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, it's prediction time, which has turned into our least favorite time on the show, considering how bad we've both been at predicting.
I think we've gotten two right.
We've got to start picking the other, whatever we think is going to happen, pick the other thing.
Not this week, not this week.
All right, how do you see it playing out?
I definitely see it being a 24-14 game. I really do think that the Jacksonville Jaguars have so many issues. They're giving up the most sacks in the NFL. The Dolphins, they've been looking for a game to be able to pin their ears back and confuse a quarterback. They've got so many defensive schemes. They can roll out 4 different schemes every 4th play, and the quarterback is the rookie quarterback's head's going to be spinning. I think if they can consistently run the ball with Lamar Miller, he got 23 touches last week. They are going to play a very effective game, one that reminiscent of the Oakland game.
I think this is a weak secondary for the Jaguars. I think we see the Dolphins blow out to a big lead in this game and just coast. I'm taking 33-17.
Not taking their foot off the gas.
No, just on it. I think there may be a couple of late touchdowns, late scores by the Jaguars, but I'm taking Dolphins big in this game. So, fans, you should be worried about it because we are both taking the Dolphins to win. That's it for X's and Omar. We're here live every Wednesday at 12:15, breaking down the Fins. You can find the replay on the show on sunsentinel.com. If you're looking for more Dolphins news, you can find Omar Kelly's First and 10 with Dolphins cornerback Cortland Finnegan on sunsentinel.com's sports pages.
We've also got a gallery of all the First and 10. So if you missed anyone, Brandon Albert, we got an interesting one with Jared Odrick up. You can find them on sunsentinel.com pages as well.
Good stuff. Thanks for coming. See you next week.